What's going on, guys? Aarava here, and welcome back to another episode of my F1 2017 career mode. We're back with part number 20 today for the Abu Dhabi Grand Prix, the finale of this first season of F1 2017 career mode. I am hyped to end off the season on a high. Obviously, last time out, if you did miss that one, check that one out, episode 19. We had a pretty crazy race, starting off with a really out there grid, and obviously it didn't end so well with us having a penalty at the end, so I want to make sure we actually have a really good result at the end of this race to, finish off the season the right way, in the right style. So we're going to change out the engine one last time ahead of practice and get straight into earning those last few R&D points.
Thank you for joining us on this Friday afternoon at the Yas Marina circuit. Over the next 3 days, we hope to deliver some spectacular racing, beginning though with today's practice session. So what challenges does this Abu Dhabi circuit particularly pose the drivers?
This is a very difficult circuit to master. It's a braking circuit, and that's where the majority of mistakes will happen here today. The final sector is particularly difficult as it's a very technical part of the track to get right, especially in qualifying when you're right on the limit.
So seeing as this is the final practice session of this season, not too much emphasis on really getting the maximum points, just going through to get a few last minute R&D points, but of course we don't even know if we're going to be in Toro Rosso after this race at the end of the season. We don't know anything about our contract, so I think in the end we managed to get 150 points out of the full 250 you can get, and we're going to head straight into qualifying on Saturday.
It's Saturday afternoon here at Yas Marina, where the drivers are about to embark on a challenging qualifying session, ready for tomorrow's Abu Dhabi Grand Prix. When it comes to getting lap time out of this circuit, it's traditionally been about maximising top speed. Do you simply remove as much downforce as possible, hang on into the corners and max out down the straights?
Top speed is a key factor for this circuit. Even if you can achieve the same lap time as someone running less wing than you, chances are you'll find overtaking difficult if you have too much drag.
So thankfully in qualifying, in contrast to Brazil last time out, no issues with the rich mix or maximum fuel mixture on the lap. So we do have the full deployment power of the Renault in the back of the Toro Rosso, and you can see a little bit scruffy in the first few corners, went a little bit wide, hit a bit of understeer into turn one, and kind of carried that forward into the chicane. You can see going really deep, locking up on the left tyre just to even make the corner there. So bit of a scruffy first attempt lap. Obviously we have enough time for a second one, but we cross the line anyway to finish off the lap, but we go straight into a second flying lap to begin, and we're getting to the end of the session. You can see just about over a minute left, so we'll be one of the last cars on the track, but not the last one. You can see in the mini-map plenty of cars right behind us following us. You can see into turn one, scruffy again a little bit, but got the turn a little bit faster and harder into turn one, and generally, even though I lost it on the exit, gained a bit of time. You can see on the delta time clearly, and this was the major part of the lap where we gained most of the time back compared to our first flying lap. You can see so much cleaner and tighter onto the curbings into that first chicane, no lock-up and going deep. And so as we cross into the final corner, you can see Sebastian Vettel at the moment on provisional pole. You can see we get a huge tank slapper on the exit of the corner, which would compromise some of our time, but we still gain some time, and we're going to end up in P13, which is going to be ahead of our teammate. Our teammate did not even set a lap time. You can see a whole lot of people did not set lap times. Daniel Ricciardo, Kimi Raikkonen notably not setting lap time, so I'm not too sure why. Maybe they had penalties and they just preemptively didn't even run in the session or something like that. Stoffel van Dorn also not running as well. You can see Marcus Ericsson therefore gets up into a brilliant 14th place right behind me in P13. So we'll see how we go in the race then for the final round. Looks like the Toro Rosso may be lacking a tiny bit of pace, but also you did see both my laps were scruffy. So hopefully we can have a bit more of a cleaner race around the circuit and hopefully finish off the season well.
It's been, Ant. It's been an absolute pleasure. And now, how are you feeling ahead of lights out tonight?
Well, it's been a breathtaking year of F1 action, and there's one more sting in the tail to come here tonight, I reckon. We've been all around the world, but there's still everything to fight for, and what an occasion it is as well. There's a real sense of anticipation every time we come here to Abu Dhabi, and here's hoping it's a fitting end to a very special season.
So before the off, let's remind ourselves of yesterday's qualifying session with a look at the starting grid. Good job yesterday from Valtteri Bottas. The Finn starts from pole position, and it's Esteban Ocon in P2. Looking down the rest of the grid, we have a Toro Rosso, Palmer, Pascal Wehrlein, and Vettel, Hamilton, Sainz, Grosjean and Nico Hülkenberg, Raikkonen, Ricciardo, Stoffel van Dorn and Stroll, Ericsson, Perez, Fernando Alonso and Max Verstappen. Massa and Kevin Magnussen rounds off the grid. And with lights out just moments away, it's time to go down to the track.
So, another hectic grid. Not as impressive as Brazil, last to second place on the grid, but we do go from P13 to P3 today. And we've got Esteban Ocon on the front row with Valtteri Bottas. He was the only one not to seemingly have an engine penalty from the top guys. And a very mixed up grid order with Jolyon Palmer also joining us on the second row in fourth place. It's going to be a one-stop for us today. We can start on the super soft tyres, and we will do. And just like Brazil, we'll aim to try and upset maybe some of the top guys by trying that one-stop strategy today, whereas they may be going for a traditional two-stop there with two sets of ultra-soft tyres, and it looks like Esteban Ocon's going to be doing just that on the ultra-softs there on our left-hand side. But we go to 5 red lights for the final time this season. Season 1 finale is a go. 5 red lights are out and we're underway, and Esteban Ocon's got a fantastic start there. He's up into first place. He's in the lead of the Abu Dhabi Grand Prix. We go down the inside of Valtteri Bottas side by side through the left-hand and through the turn 2. We're going to squeeze him out there, move to the right-hand side of the circuit. He hasn't had enough of his nose alongside, so we can do that, and we're up into P2 now, but Ocon leads the Abu Dhabi Grand Prix. What a way to start the final race of this season. Absolute scenes there. The Force India leading the way. Valtteri Bottas down to third place, just ahead of Jolyon Palmer and a whole gaggle of other cars who are way out of order. I think the Saubers once again really benefited from those grid penalties, so what a great spectacle this has been for the last 2 rounds now with all these penalties. It's caused an absolute madness, but you can see onto lap 2 locking up though, and I made a crucial, horrible mistake, and Bottas has pounced and punished us for that mistake. Lost a bit of concentration, locked up the left front tyre, went way too deep into that chicane, and Bottas has got right around the outside of us in that second part of the chicane, and we tried to close up on him, but we're just not close enough. Don't have enough overspeed to make a move down the inside, or I definitely would have tried it. So on lap 2, we're down to P3, and surely it's just about kind of basically a case of time for Bottas to eventually catch Ocon and beat him, because I would be very, very shocked if Ocon's able to pull this off. He does have a bit of a gap though to Bottas, so Bottas definitely will have to push later into this race to actually catch him. Meanwhile, back behind us, we've got Lewis Hamilton overtaking Palmer. You can see the Ferrari of, I think that was Vettel, not too far behind then as well in P6. So the top guys are slowly but surely filtering their way through, and you can see Bottas in the distance chasing after Ocon as Hamilton chases after me. We're going defensive because Hamilton has DRS and he's much closer to us than Bottas is to Ocon. We go down the inside. He's outbroken us. We're going to go side by side, tapping tyres as the corner kind of tightens up, and Hamilton does get the better line, but we're going to try. We tried basically a bit of a switchback to straighten up the car a little bit faster, and that'll allow us to get the power down faster. And with DRS actually, because the detection point is actually after the chicane, we're able to get DRS wide open, use a bit of rich mix, go down the inside and try and fight Hamilton, lock up on the left tyre, and unfortunately Hamilton just has way too much grip and downforce and speed for us there. So we're just going to have to settle down for P4 then and try our best to stick with Hamilton if we can. We've got Palmer behind us, so theoretically, and the hope is that we shouldn't be falling back into the Renault's hands. So let's just try our best to actually close up, and we are actually closing up right now into that brake zone with Hamilton, so we'll try and stay with him as much as we can, and actually hopefully we could get DRS maybe for at least one more lap here as we move on towards lap 6. But as we move on to lap 7 actually, 2 laps later, you can see we're actually much closer to Hamilton than we maybe were just previously there on lap 5, and now we've got DRS and slipstream on Hamilton, rich mix, and we're actually maybe going to start catching our fellow Brit. So I don't know what's going on here for Hamilton. His car appears to be going very slowly because the Merc usually isn't this vulnerable in a straight line. We go down the inside, very nice and easy, and go a little bit deep. We can see that Hamilton did back off there, so I just went deeper and deeper to cut him off really. And now you can see out of that chicane, Hamilton's lost so much pace, and now Palmer may be coming up to actually overtake him as well. He'll have DRS wide open. You can see the Haas and our teammate Sainz also close following behind with DRS, but here goes Palmer round the outside. What a very unorthodox place to make the move around the outside, but it will turn to the inside for the next corner as they go into that chicane complex, and Palmer's still trying to hang it around the outside. He's on super soft tyres as well compared to Hamilton's ultra soft, and the Renault is actually going to maybe pull this off, I think, as we swoop through. And yes, the Renault has got the Mercedes car, so Hamilton definitely has some sort of issue issue in the car. We overtook him in a straight line, and Palmer has just overtaken Lewis Hamilton fair and square. That is not a phrase you would expect to hear anytime soon in 2017. So as we move now to the end of lap 7, it's Ocon in second place, you can see on the top left. So Bottas has indeed finally actually overtaken the Frenchman for the lead of the rightful lead of the Grand Prix, you would say. And the safety car actually has been called out now, so that's going to change things around a little bit. So now it's time to save some fuel, and we may be, this definitely will help us to go longer on this stint to make that one stop work. And now for quite a while now, for a few laps now at least, Hamilton will have to just be behind Palmer and sit behind Palmer. So absolute scenes at the moment in the Abu Dhabi Grand Prix. But you can see here, this is why the safety car got called out. It's Daniel Ricciardo. He's had a big issue, locked up on both tyres, and then seemingly just parks it up there and is unable to get going. So yeah, a bit of an odd situation there. That's actually caused that safety car, but that's why it was called out. So we move now onto lap 10. You can see clearly the safety car's come in. It's gone green flag. You can see Ocon is right ahead of us, so we can try and maybe close up to the Force India. To be fair to him, the Force India had some really great pace in that first stint. You know, he bolted away from us, and it was only Bottas that was able to actually catch up to him. Unfortunately, though, by the end of lap 10, we were actually catching up to Ocon finally, but he came straight into the pits, so unfortunately we cannot even overtake him fair and square on track. We're going to have to maybe just try our best to push hard now and try and overtake him on the strategy call, because obviously we're going a little bit longer in this race for the one stop. Looks like Ocon, who was on ultra soft tyres, sorry, is going for that two-stop strategy. The same for Bottas and the same for Lewis Hamilton in this race. So just like Brazil, we'll try and go longer and just kind of cross our fingers and really hope that we can maybe just hamper the top guys and maybe fight for our position. The same can be said for our teammate Sainz, who's also on the super soft, and for a moment here it's a 1-2 for Toro Rosso, because Bottas also came in on that lap with Ocon, but now Hamilton's going to spoil that party, goes down the inside pretty damn easily with DRS to overtake Sainz, but momentarily there it was a pretty nice 1-2 for Toro Rosso. But eventually it's always going to happen, and you would say maybe Hamilton's going to steam up to the back of us and overtake us, and he would be doing on the end of lap 13, but you can see we've called into box this lap, so Hamilton's not going to get the satisfaction of overtaking us fair and square as we come in, and Sainz is going to continue on for one more lap, I think, and then he'll come in probably on the next lap, I would say, because it's unorthodox for the AI to go a lot longer than the player on the set of tyres. So we come in now for a set of soft tyres this will be, and we'll be going to the end of this race, and we'll be hoping that we can finish it off in style and hopefully, knock on wood, not get a penalty right at the end of the race just like we did at the Brazilian Grand Prix, because yes, although I did not catch the safety car, could have maybe made a rush for it back in hindsight, looking back at that episode. I definitely still think there was a little bit something funny going on with the fact there was still half a track left empty without the safety car bunching us all up. So yeah, hopefully we can finish it off strong, and we should do, because you can see we're in a kind of a train now with the two Ferrari cars ahead of us, and the two Ferraris should be making another pit stop here in this race. So you would say we're going to end up ahead of these two Ferrari cars for now. We'll see how much pace we have, but we're still ahead of Palmer on the top left there, so we haven't lost time in how the race has gone on, the running of the race. And you can see now we move on to a replay camera shot of Carlos Sainz coming out of the pit lane, and he's going to come out just behind us, actually just ahead of that Red Bull that was catching up to one of the Renaults, I think. So you can see on the top left now, we're in P12, Sainz does slot in P13, I believe then it's Palmer and then Daniel Ricciardo, and you can see still those two Ferraris, Lionel Stern, Raikkonen and Vettel. But as we move later into the race, lap 16, Raikkonen is going to make the move on Lance Stroll there, just ahead of us as Sparks fly mid-air there. You could see very, very odd to see Sparks that high up on in the air as Stroll and Raikkonen tangle seemingly, and Stroll now has been kicked out of what will be P10 and he's down to P11. He's on ultra soft tyres, so he's going for a very aggressive two-stop, whereas the Ferrari cars were on soft tyres, seemingly doing a bit more of a conservative two-stop strategy, and we're going to catch up quite rapidly to Lance Stroll through the corners. So it looks like he's struggling. I wouldn't be surprised if he comes in the pits right now, because we're gaining so much time here through every single corner, and yes, he does. So we're going to overtake him there just as we come through the final corner, and now we'll go onto P11, and we've got a few more cars in the pits actually, so we'll gain a few more positions. And so it looks like we'll just get up into P7. One final guy in the pit lane, just coming underneath that underpass there here in Abu Dhabi, the only track that has the underpass for the pit exit. And so as we move now onto the very next lap, then with 10 laps to go now, lap 18 to lap 28, we're up into a third place. So we're up into the podium positions after everyone seemingly has made their final pit stop for the afternoon, their second stop for most of those guys. Obviously we're trying the one stop. Looks like Sainz is also, as I mentioned, trying that one stop with us because he was literally on the same tyres as we were, super softs to softs now, so he's in 4th place. So if we could just end the race like this would be sensational for Toro Rosso. A great way to end the season off there in 4th place. Although as we move later into lap 18, you can see my engine is starting to wear out a little bit. Obviously it's the final engine of the season, so you don't need to worry about it after this race, but it is getting a little bit worn. And you can see in the top left, Grosjean has now spoiled the party somewhat and has overtaken seemingly Sainz there for 4th place. And then by lap 20, he's closed up right up to us through that chicane that we've been pretty poor at all race long, and we've lost a lot of time going through the second phase of the chicane, just not able to get the power down as fast as the AI cars. And here comes Grosjean now very rapidly on the left-hand side there. He's going to go for the lunge. We're going to have to try our best to defend to the outside. We'll turn to the inside though, so we can kind of force him off a little bit and just squeeze him wide. In reality, he didn't even have his nose alongside there for that second part of that little chicane complex. So Grosjean did try the lunge, but didn't kind of stick in basically with the lunge. Basically, he kind of tried a half-hearted attempt. But now into lap 21, he may try a bit more into turn 1. We're going to have to try and squeeze him out just like we did to Valtteri Bottas at the very start of this Grand Prix. And you can see Grosjean once again unable to just commit through that corner and kind of wobbles a little bit on the exit. Although as we move down to the main straight into the chicane once more, you can see Massa not too far behind as we squeeze out Grosjean. Massa may have a look at Grosjean because he can see he's gone round the outside. Actually, Grosjean's lost a heap of time there. So as we go down the back straight now, second bite of the cherry of DRS for Massa and Grosjean also, but the Williams car obviously has way more straight line speed and he's able to overtake him. So Massa up the order there. As we move on to lap 22, Massa is going to come and try and overtake us now, and it may be an easier affair for him than it was for Grosjean, because as we mentioned, the Williams car this season, pretty much I feel like its performance unfortunately has only come from its engine. I think it's a pretty piss poor car, but in a straight line just a bullet. And so Williams does overtake us, Massa does overtake us, and he's up into 3rd place. So the podium party has been spoiled, and on to lap 23 we're firmly trying to look and defend for our 4th place here as Grosjean comes rapidly once again on the right hand side. We'll defend to the inside. We've also got Bottas though lurking there on the distance just behind us, so we go down the inside. It's going to be very, very close, tapping tyres as the curbing pushes us towards Grosjean, and the curbing pushes Grosjean back towards us on the second phase of that chicane. We've lost the rear end though, so here comes Bottas on the left hand side. We open DRS, we're in rich mix, but here comes the Mercedes power pushing past us. He's going to try and make a move on Grosjean, I wonder. Yes, he will, I think. He'll just about go for it. Dive bomb on the Frenchman. They'll go side by side. Grosjean will defend from Bottas. We just about keep it on the track there. We did go very, very deep into that first part of the chicane complex, so we just about keep it on the road for P6. And now can we try and use the fact that Bottas will now be chasing down Grosjean? Hopefully he'll try and hold up Grosjean as he overtakes him, and we can re-overtake the Frenchman. And Bottas could actually make a move here. He's gone down the inside. Grosjean's locked up horribly. We've locked up on the left as we're so surprised and shocked at seeing the Haas just go steaming straight on. Double lock-up for Grosjean, and that is the most iconic partnership coming through once again. Grosjean and brake problems, and he's down to P6 now. We're up into P5. Bottas is going to steam away from us though, so not only is the 3rd place being spoiled for us, 4th place also being spoiled, so it looks like the maximum we can maybe hope for now is P5, because the cars that are behind us should be midfield cars that we're battling pretty much, as you've got the likes of the Ferrari cars and the 2 Red Bull cars way down the order after their strategy blunders basically of being on the soft tyres despite doing a 2-stop, and also just generally being so far back with traffic here at Abu Dhabi. Obviously Abu Dhabi, you would think, probably a harder circuit to overtake with traffic compared to Brazil, but now as we move on to that 25, 3 laps to go, not including this one. Grosjean is closing up once again quite rapidly on the right hand side there. We thought about moving to the brake zone, but good thing I didn't, because Grosjean once again has brake issues, locks up and he has to take to the escape bit of the track, the blue tarmac, painted tarmac, and so thankfully we did not actually move back into the racing line, because otherwise I feel like Grosjean would have taken us out there. But we move on to lap 27, the second last lap of the Grand Prix. Grosjean does in fact actually re-overtake Perez to come back into P6, and for about the 4th time now this afternoon, or this evening rather, Grosjean's going to try the move. He does actually get it this time. We kind of make it easy for him, because I'm going to stick behind him and try this time to actually get a good exit on this corner. It's probably the best exit we've got so far this entire race, and we do have DRS and we do have a bit of rich mix to burn. So here we go. We're going to go for the re-overtaking move to get P5 back. Look at the speed we're gaining. The Toro Rosso does have the pace here in a straight line on the back straight, down the inside, very, very close stuff, banging tyres somewhat. We leave Grosjean the room. We go very, very narrow on the steering lock there in 2nd gear to just give him the room, but we do make an overtake fair and square up into P5 now, and now it's just a case of for 1.5 laps, or 1 1/3 lap really, to just pull this through. And so we move on to the last lap of the Grand Prix. You can see the train that's forming behind us. We've not really had the pace to maybe get away from Grosjean, but we've done some great defensive work. So for the final time in 2017, Season 1 of the F1 2017 career mode, we'll come through the final corner for P5 on the road in the Toro Rosso car. It's a great finish for us and a great way to end out Season 1 here, episode number 20 at the Abu Dhabi Grand Prix. Thoroughly earned P5 there.
So the celebrations begin, and well earned they are indeed. It may have looked simple at times, but as any racing driver will tell you, competing at this level, at the very top, is anything but simple. There's no catching them now then. We have a new World Drivers' Champion. And Mercedes have pulled off a great victory here today. And I have to wonder, Anthony Davidson, just what set them apart from the competition here.
Well, they played the safety car to absolute perfection. There are so many factors to worry about once the race is neutralised. I mean, do you pit for fresh rubber? Do you have the space behind you? How much fuel can you save? If you answer all of those questions correctly, you'll have a good chance. And that's exactly what happened today.
And here are our podium drivers today after that excellent race. They've excelled here, as they so often do, and it's a well-deserved victory. Mercedes, then, are on top today.
So there we have it. Lewis Hamilton is crowned the 2017 World Champion here in our F1 2017 career mode. He takes the win, actually, from Kimi Raikkonen to Valtteri Bottas. So he came all the way through to win this race, despite starting so far back compared to his teammate, P7 on the grid, compared to Bottas, who was on pole. So Bottas did really bottle that race a tad, because the only man he had to overtake at the very start was Esteban Ocon and myself, obviously, and he got past both of us very quickly. Kimi Raikkonen also a really good recovery from P11 on the grid to P2, but you can see there, 5th place for us, ahead of Grosjean, ahead of our rival Perez, ahead of Verstappen as well, and Vettel. So I really hope we put in another final good case, you know, finishing ahead of Verstappen and Ricciardo. Obviously Ricciardo had issues, so he doesn't really count. Verstappen finishing ahead of him. I really hope we have put in a good shift here, finally, one final time for the 20th time now, really, to make an argument to get up into the Red Bull car. You can see we do, unfortunately, finish just behind Verstappen on points. We did gain some points, obviously on him today, just not enough to actually overtake him for that final last time, but we were ahead of him for a fair few bit of the season. And in the Constructors, I'm very happy with the job we've done. 4th place ahead of Force India. Haas do actually stay ahead of Williams, and Williams finished down in 7th place, only ahead of Renault, McLaren and Sauber. They'll be a bit gutted, you know, basing off what their performance was like earlier on in the season with the qualifyings they were doing time and time again. But you can see now we do get a resource bonus after that season, quite a hefty one actually, but it may not matter if we do move team, but we do have a bonus there if we do decide to stick with Toro Rosso. You can see though, we do actually end up failing our rivalry with Sergio Perez by just 1 there. So Perez actually ends up winning, even though I do feel like we raced better than him at the end of that season. You can see the reputation level has gone up and up with Red Bull there. So come to the end of season splash page here. Toro Rosso thanking us for the work we've done. We've got them P4 in the Constructors, which I think is a very decent job considering how fast that Force India and Williams car was at the very start of the season. So it's time for the contract event.
Quick question. How are you here? Are you happy? I mean, obviously, I hope so, but you do have some other options if you're up for a new challenge. Let me just grab the door. I had a call from another team a few weeks ago, and, well, things have moved on since then. These are the offers I've managed to put together for you. You don't have to do anything with them, but let me know what you think.
Oh, don't worry, I will. I will let you know, because it's time to get that pen out, and it's time to sign on the dotted line for what? Are you having a bubble? We've gotten Toro Rosso P4 in the Constructors' Championships. We beat Force India, Williams, Haas on steroids in the second half of this season. And we've not got a contract offer from Red Bull Racing. Look how happy they were at the very end of that season. They were loving life. They were the furthest ahead of most of the teams, bar Renault. but that's the only big offer we've got. We've already bunned off McLaren and Sauber. I'm not going to them. We already said that at the very start when we got the mid-season offer. So the best I've got, and the best my PR agent can get me, is Renault. And where is the Red Bull offer? Seriously, I've ticked all the boxes. We beat Verstappen and Ricciardo so many times. Christian Horner, you can go do one. Guys, smash that like button for the end of Season 1. If you have enjoyed Season 1, hit that like button. Let me know what you thought in the comments below of not only this episode, but the entire season, guys. And join me next time for Season number 2, where I'll be revealing what I'm doing. Do I stay with Toro Rosso after I've been stabbed in the heart here by not getting a Red Bull drive? Or do I go for something a little bit different in yellow? Find out next time, episode number 21 at the Australian Grand Prix for Season 2. Smash that like button for Season 2. Do get subscribed if you're around here for that, for Season 2 coming up. And I'll see you guys next time. Hope you enjoy the rest of your days. Goodbye.